Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Sharing to live stream. Are we live? Okay.
I don't know. Let's
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
We are live.
Hey everyone, welcome. We are live.
How are we doing?
So I have
La.
a very, very hungover Josh, and because he was hanging out at Wembley Stadium last night, and
Watching
Crypto
England win.
Crew was my backup man because Josh almost didn't make it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, but
Josh. Seems like I was second best. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
what we're gonna do
We
first.
love you, Cruz. We love you too. We should have you here more
Thank you.
because we love your charts.
That would be nice, Josh. I think you should be hungover more often. It seems then. Seems like then.
Yeah.
Need some
I'll
time.
happily
Some
do that.
time.
Any excuse for a beer.
Yeah, there we go, man. Maybe hit a few tequilas in it. Do what you need to do.
Yeah. So what's that song that I sent you this morning, Josh?
Oh, this song, I've got it here lined up. By James After. It's one of your favourites, isn't it?
It is.
It's got a rather it's a very deep, meaningful song actually.
It is. It's like I knew I loved you when I was holding your hair back over the toilet and you looked up and smiled with all the vomit chunks all over your face.
Yeah, I held your hair back when you were throwing up. I just think it's a beautiful line.
It is. It's a great line.
It's very romantic. I mean, let's be real. Yeah, if that's the start of something bigger, why not?
Yeah. Is that how you and Shan fell in love, Krugs?
It was sort of. I mean, the first night that we actually hung out was a pretty hard drinking night. So you could say that in a sense, but there was no throwing up though. It was just a good night.
It was
just fun. Yeah, it was fun times. I think between me and my friend, we drank a whole bottle of vodka that night. So yeah, it was.
That is
it was
epic.
Good.
A whole bottle.
So it was a successful night. Let's put it like that.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
Okay, guys, I've just put the link out on Twitter. So if you're capable of doing 5 or 7 things at once, pop in and retweet that, and we'll get some more people in the chat. They're slowly joining, which is nice.
Yeah.
I bought Samantha's already waiting for my face.
I see the chat's already asking. Yeah, chat's already asking for a Joshua face reveal. What's
Yeah,
happening,
it's like when Joshua Face. Actually, you could probably find him today on the internet.
We need to stop making this a thing. It's not that big a deal, my face.
I mean, we can even hashtag it on Twitter, Joshua face reveal,
Yeah, exactly. It's like when Joshua.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All we get to see is like the back of you, and we're like,
that's good enough as far as I'm concerned.
You got to give the people what they want to see, my boy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so we are worldwide
for Lisa.
today. Yeah, so we are worldwide. So I'm Melbourne, Krugs is in South Africa, and Josh is in the UK.
Yeah, as you can see, it's cold. I'm wearing winter clothes over here, so
yeah, it's cold here.
It's not summer. Yeah, everyone's like having summer up abroad, and yeah, me and Lisa are sitting in the cold. I don't know what's the weather like by you.
Freezing today. So it's just like
serious.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't say it's freezing over here, but for SA standards, we're about 19 degrees outside midwinter, so it's not that cold, but it's still cold for me.
Bad. We've had like a couple of mornings, we've had like 2 and 3 degrees. It's been really cold.
Shit.
Yeah,
you see, that's something I'm not used to. I'll leave that to Josh. I think that's like Josh types of weather.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to multitask. I'm going to pop a signal out. If there's anyone listening in, you're not on Getting Started in Crypto.com, come over and join us.
Yeah.
We still have signals flying in and out despite what the market is doing.
Although I haven't been able to catch them today. They keep going. So yeah. So shall we just head over to Getting Started in Crypto.com and you can find us at Always. And we're going to have Krugs in there a lot more, aren't we, Krugs?
That's it. I will be there. I do check it now and again. I do check the signals. I check the chat. So I am in there. If you ever want to find me, just hit me up there. I am there.
Yeah, he is there a lot. So you always see him in the chat box, so down the side. So yeah, check him out. So I'm going to let Krug start with his BTC chart, and then we're going to sort of discuss what we see. So he always has a very similar sort of idea to what I have, so which is kind of cool. So but he charts it very differently. Like I'm Elliott Wave, and I'll let him explain how he does it.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, as Lisa says, I usually, let me get my chart on the screen over here, just to give you an overview quickly before I start. So I basically trade on harmonics, but what makes it pretty cool with me and Lisa when we analyze our stuff is that we usually come to the same targets, which is quite interesting, and it's two very different styles. I mean, if you look at the current situation in Bitcoin, I actually have mapped this out, and this is how I have actually been playing it actually as well. Where's my patterns? Here we go. So this is what I've been looking at in Bitcoin at the moment. So when we made this low over here on the 19th of May, so we had a cipher pattern, which is this little box here in yellow. So I'll actually have played, I think I've played this BTC chart long 3 times now, where I'm in my 3rd long right now, where I played this point from this X point over here on the 23rd of May up to this point over here. So I need to go to 4-hour chart, should be a bit easier to see now. So just to give you an overview, yeah. So I trade basically on harmonics. I use RSI and MACD as my momentum and strength indicators, and I use that in combination with harmonics to see when we basically hitting tops and bottoms with divergences. So this is the basically pattern outlook, how I've been playing it for now. So yesterday on my Twitter, I did basically tweet that I hope we can. Let me just take all the harmonics off again. So I tweeted, yeah, I mean, it just looks a bit messy. I tweeted yesterday on my Twitter that I wanted to see us hold this 886 level.
Yeah.
So we had a reaction. It was somewhere around here. But the thing is with this pattern, it's what you call a shark pattern. So it's got a range where this point D can fall between the 886 to a 113. So I wanted us to see and hold this pattern at an 886. My reason for that is basically, so the theory behind it is that when you have a shark pattern, it can morph into a 5-0. So a bullish shark, which we have right here, morphs into a 5-0 pattern, but that's a bearish pattern. So we do not want to see that. We've got to keep that in mind. I'm going to get to that right now. So what we had is we had this 886 range to these 113. So I was very hammering that we need to hold this 886 range, which we didn't, which we failed. I actually did long it over here, and I did take a break even stop around this area when we started breaking down yesterday.
Yeah.
So then I was looking at this 113 level, and that's on a 4-hour exactly where we wicked it and bounced upwards from there. So now we're still within this range. What I've also got is what I'm loving right now. Let me remove this fib, is on the daily. We've actually got a swing failure pattern over here. So for the people who don't know how that works, is basically when the candle attempts to make a new low, but the body of the candle closes above the previous point, the previous weak point. That's a swing failure pattern. That's quite a nice reversal pattern. So I've also been looking at that right now, which I saw we made yesterday. So back to my shark pattern right now.
Yeah.
So for me, how I'm playing personally, I'm still long. I longed around this 113 level over here. This is where I longed. So as I said, so this is what you call a bullish shark pattern. This has the potential to morph into a bearish 5-0, which basically means that for me personally, I don't want to see this pattern reject 50%. This 50% fib from the C to the D lows is very crucial for me. We can wick it even to the 618 right to there, this box.
Yeah.
So
what's that price, Crooks?
The price.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the 50% at $35,067 to $36,545.
Okay.
So that's what I'm looking at. My reason is so there's two scenarios for me personally, which I'm going to be looking at when we get there. So all the really bearish scenario is that we come and this dotted line is my mid-range point, basically, in essence. If we reject from that, basically the mid-range point within the 5-0 pattern, and we start going down, then we're going to start. Then I'm going to have to start looking at what potential pattern are we making for another new low. That's my very, very bearish case. But for now, because I have mapped it out in terms of harmonics like that, with all the harmonics at the moment, which is like that. So my bullish case will basically be that we come in, we've created this XA point, and now we're looking for this B point, which can be anywhere between the 50% to the 786 fib. The higher, the better. But we'll first start with the golden retrace zone. So I'm open to hitting the 50%. So in essence, we're hitting our bearish 5-0 pattern, but we're going to reject. There's going to be a reaction around it, but it's not necessarily to say it's going to be a reversal. So for me, then we can possibly make like a C point somewhere around the 38.2 or the 236, most possibly the 236 point, and you have the support and resistance previously down here. As soon as we make that pattern, we can start looking up higher for me. So then I'll be looking at a 886 for a bad pattern like that.
Yeah, so you're saying that on this retrace, on your pattern, we need to tap that pivot and then come back down to that 31.7 point sort of, and then continue.
Yeah. Basically, I want us to make a higher low on the pullback from this point B. So this B point is quite crucial for me, because the things with harmonics, there's always reactions around these levels, but it's not necessarily reversal. So I would like to see a reaction to validate a potential pattern. And when we've got the validation point, then we can see, okay, cool. Is it going to be the bearish 5-0, or are we just going to get a higher C? So I think for me, how I'm going to be looking at it as well is with divergences as well. So as you can see, on the MACD, which was really nice yesterday on this 4-hour chart, we were making this momentum islands over here. Every single island was a higher island than the previous relative to price. So price has been making, take the harmonics off again. So price was making lower lows in essence in terms of candlestick prices, but we were making higher lows on the MACD momentum. So this was telling me yesterday when we were around this 113 fib that it's literally just a matter of time before we actually break out. RSI was a bit worrying for me because we had a little bullish divergence on these 2 points over there, but before that we kind of broke it with that level right there, but we kind of just shot back right up there around this area.
But on the previous RSI sort of drop, sort of around, I think that's, early June,
8th of June,
we hit that region as well, that support. So
so if you I mean, what you're saying is basically around that divergence and over there, because that's still then on RSI a higher low with a lower low in price.
So you've still got that bullish divergence happening in that RSI.
I do.
MACD. So
I do. What I was also looking at yesterday is because harmonics is all about W and M patterns. So whenever you see a W and an M pattern, you can start thinking of a reversal. Let's want to get a nice example here. I think you can use this one as an example. So you'll see this basically creates a nice double, basically M pattern to look at. So it's just about determining that point over there to get the reversal and play the trade. But what's nice is you can also get it on RSI. You can also see, look here on RSI, you also make a really nice M pattern to long into. So as soon as the divergences start forming and you're at a critical fib level, it's a really nice area to start thinking about opening a trade and then getting your targets from there. So currently, that's where I'm at with Bitcoin. It's all about, we're in this range. Okay, so it started the daily. We've got a daily swing failure pattern. Yes, and we've got bullish divergence on the daily, which is awesome. If you look at the RSI there and that point over there, we've got a really, really nice bullish divergence going on there with a swing failure pattern. So to me, so far, it's a reversal until it's not. As long as we stay above the range low now, it's a reversal, and we've got a higher negative momentum island on MACD from this low on the 19th of May up until yesterday's low. So
So you're not
this was
concerned about that channel that we've got formed on the RSI, like
the daily channel.
yeah. So have you seen
I
that?
am. I am. I
Because
wanted to bring this up now.
at the moment.
I know. I was so smug on Twitter. I like tweeted, "Oh, tell me how bearish you are with a trend line down like this." Something I tweeted something
Yeah.
like that where we were above it, and I tweeted about it. I was like all smug.
And like we rejected. It was just
I know.
yeah.
I was surprised people didn't like rag me because I was like all smug. Oh, look up! Tell me again how bearish are you? We broke out, and then it just like slammed back onto the channel. So I am quite concerned about it. But if we think about it, we've had like what, one strike couldn't break, or two strikes, three strikes, four strikes. I mean, if we could take a fifth strike, maybe break it at this time, find support above it, and then go, I'd
Yeah.
love something like
This
that.
next like point is critical. It's super critical. Like if we don't break this next point, we're literally going down. So
I know.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, is this market manipulation? Is it, you know, are we going into a bear market? Or, you know, is this just, you know, we are holding these levels and we are, you know, just shaking out all the weekends? So this is still the question that I have. So if I'm going to pull up my screen,
Tell me, I've got another question for you, which I think about.
yeah.
I thought about this scenario. So if we think about a Max Payne scenario, I know there's a lot of people that's currently looking at this head and shoulders where we've got this high on price, yeah. We've got the high, yeah, and we've got then the lower high, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
sort of like a head and shoulders as long as you don't break the range in the middle.
Yeah, it's got two shoulders on the other side of the head. It's like, what is it? It's some sort of like weird, you know, it's got
It looks like
hunchback
me,
four
which is
shoulders.
why I'm
Yeah,
putting
you
it
Yeah,
up.
it's not symmetrical. It's not symmetrical. So I was speaking to one of my friends yesterday, and we were discussing the Max Payne scenario, and the conclusion which we came down to, if we think about it, what is the Max Payne scenario? It's not necessarily down, because we literally right now hit 64K and we broke to now 28K. So you've got all the retail that already capitulating at the lows. So pushing it lower, they're just going to buy back lower. But if when you start pushing it up higher, you're actually forcing them to buy back higher again. So that to
yeah,
me is more,
but
it's more
that's
of a Max Payne.
it is max pain because you keep it in this area. So the 8 to 10K range that we saw where it was max pain in that area, and it kept sort of just poking above 10K, dropping back down. And, you know, so it was just like so choppy in that region. And it's such a similar region here, which makes me believe that it's still going up. So
The
yeah.
other thing which me and you spoke about the other day is if you look at RSI, we actually, the only time this entire bull market we've hit underneath 30 is literally right now. The
Yeah.
last time we were under 30 was the COVID drop.
Yeah. And
We
this
haven't
is
tagged
why
that level.
yeah, so I've addressed this a couple of times. Like when we have a look at that COVID drop, and then we have a look at the pattern that we are seeing within that region, it is so similar to what we have now. Like
Yeah.
it literally is this max pain sideways sort of movement. So, and that's that sort of that 8 to 10 range that I'm talking about. And that's what we've got now. And we've actually got, like, if you have a look at the capitulation on the volume as well. So we had capitulation on the 19th of May, and we had capitulation on, you know, that COVID drop. So, you know, and we haven't had that since. And it's like, you know, that's where all the longs and all the shorts, everything was just completely annihilated, and it was done on both times. So, you know, it takes a little bit of time to build a market back up, and obviously yeah.
I've also seen some interesting. I don't trade Wyckoff like at all, but I've seen some interesting charts where the guys have been also saying this is just distribution at the top, which looks quite fair, but now it's also like accumulation again at the bottom, where I've seen a lot of charts say this is the spring. So I don't personally trade Wyckoff, but I always find it interesting to see that, because if it fits my personal narrative, then it's like, okay, cool, there's more than one confluence factor why this might be a possible bottom.
Yeah. And, that possibly could be the spring. I've seen, people have tweeted that to me. And it's yesterday, the volume and just coming into that bounce, was just really, really huge. It was the biggest volume we've seen for such a long time. So, and, we're only a week away from the major futures releasing. So we kind of need to just hold this range until we get those futures, those 6 monthly futures that are, obviously we were at a very bearish point 6 months ago at that 30K range. And, so I sort of thinking a lot of those futures are going to be shorts, which should take us higher.
Which pushes higher, exactly. Because you think about how long haven't we been at this top, we're losing strength and momentum. So the guys were obviously building up short. So I mean, as you say, when you release a short, you got to buy back into the market. But also another factor which I want to point out is the total market cap. I was showing this to one of my friends this morning as well, where we've basically tagged a 3.618 fib from the previous all-time highs to lows. So the significant thing about this is, which I was telling him, a 3.618 is not necessarily a reversal fib. It's basically a reactionary fib. The two fibs, which usually is reversals, is a 1.618, a 2.618, and then you get a 4.236. So the nice thing is, okay, cool, we've got our reaction, which basically validates our fib levels. We've came back and we've tagged the 1.618, which was previously resistance acting as support. Also, what made me think Bitcoin had that last little drop in it is when I went back to this May 19th drop, our total market cap never tagged this 1.618. We never hit it. And yesterday's drop was actually the first time we hit it. So I'm still optimistic to think that we've got another leg up where it's not going to be as big as what people say. We're going 100, 200, 300K. I'm not personally a believer of that. I'm thinking more like 77. Let's first hit 77. Then we can see if there's any more steam left to go up. But I'm thinking this 4.236 fib is what I'm going to be watching very carefully on total market cap. As soon as we hit that, that's when I'll be getting a bit wary about crypto and starting thinking about, locking in those profits, just sitting on the sidelines just for safety.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let me pull up. So
all right, let's see what you have over here.
Yeah, so let me pull up these charts. Find them. Okay, with all my drawings.
I won't lie. After 1 week of just going down, this green yesterday, today is like such a sigh of relief. I was not enjoying it.
No, I don't think, the whole of Twitter gets so salty and so mean. It's just like, it's just so toxic out there, and it's like it's really hard to sort of stay focused and to sort of keep going. But so
I kind of
channel drawn on, so we can see that we've pierced down into that channel, and we're just sort of tapping it as we go. So this next move up, and this is this divergence indicator that you sometimes have on your chart as well. So this is a daily, and we've had bullish divergence on this for quite some time. So to me, this should break through. And, we've got this correction here, for me, is like an absolute perfect correction. It probably dropped a touch deeper than what I wanted it to yesterday. But, this is quite a nice sort of correction.
1.618.
Yeah. So we've got the 1 to the 1.618. And just pierce through that, which is okay. I'll allow it. And then, but the thing is with this, it is perfect sort of across this region. So we've got all these supports along this side region. So this is our fourth touch to this region. We've had a strong bounce, and we're not getting the pullback on the lower time frames. So to me, they're squeezing shorts and they're doing that sort of thing. But if we have a look, this is a Bitfinex cold wallet. So, and this completely fascinates me, because in the last, like, since yesterday, so, you know, they've been buying and thousands of BTC. So, you know, they had, so if we have a look at these these BTC leaving, so these are the points in the market on the BTC chart on the daily where we're seeing the dips. So they're basically, you know, selling into the market and rebuying. So, and we can see that, you know, obviously I'm in Australia, so these are Australian times.
Another thing, I wanna also interrupt you quickly. I want you to also go look at the ETH/USD longs on Bitfinex. Go look at what happened yesterday. Me and a friend were watching that yesterday, and there was a massive opening of longs on ETH/USD.
Well, this is the thing as well. So there was a massive opening of longs on where's my, I'll go to the, so they literally killed the shorts on
literally,
Bitfinex.
like yesterday in the morning, in Europe time morning, basically, but Bitcoin was still going down, but the ETH/USD longs was just, it was skyrocketing. I mean, if I take it percentage wise, it went up with, I mean, yeah, it's went up basically from 74,000. I'm not looking right. Sorry. Continue. I will get the number up.
This is the BTC longs and shorts on Bitfinex, but we can see that right at this point of time, we've been in this channel on the longs. We've been rejecting on this channel. We're just about to break out on the longs. So, you know, we can see that this drop here, they've literally killed all the shorts. So, which is what they did, which is that last bounce, like, and, you know, so all the shorts have died and the longs are building again. And we see that on this cold storage chart, like, you know, this is obviously blockchain, so we can trace it all. But so we can see that, you know, we're coming into the market, buying all the dips. So these are getting bought. So they didn't buy the absolute low, but they were buying around 31K. So, you know, and that was forming sort of like a strong support. So they let it dip down and, you know, then they've been buying. So, yeah, if you want to pull up that Ethereum chart, we'll go into Ethereum.
Let me bring it up over here. It's just, it was interesting. Yesterday morning that, is my screen up?
Yeah, screen's up.
Screen's up, okay. So let's go into the 4 hour. So yesterday morning it was flat, and then all of a sudden, so from 2 days ago, basically 2 days ago on the 21st at 10 o'clock, look at this rise in ETH/USD longs. I mean, this is insane. The last time I've seen ETH/USD longs like this was, I think, just after COVID drop. There was at some point a guy who was longing something like 2% of the circulating supply on ETH, like something absolutely monster.
Yeah.
And we were all like, why is this guy longing so much ETH? And it was basically, I think, one of the best trades the guy's ever made. But what was interesting yesterday is if you compare Bitcoin, we were dropping in price the whole day, and these ETH longs, 4 hour, okay, and ETH longs was just building. So someone was like building a massive long into the drop.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors which are showing that this isn't, you know, people are accumulating these levels. You know, they're buying.
There's strong accumulation like that. We're seeing the exchanges are accumulating and moving off exchange into the cold wallets. But we're also seeing that, you know, this range in BTC, which obviously, you know, we're talking about max pain because it's so choppy. Yeah. And, you know, it's going to continue to be choppy for a little bit until we can hit those key levels that that we're both seeing.
Yeah. The thing is also a bottom stake long to form. It's not going to be like a quick V bottom spike type thing as well. Speaking about ETH, we can actually quickly look what have we got on ETH. This chart's actually outdated. That's the wrong chart, sorry. This is the one I'm after. There we go. Yes, I was actually...
Yeah, we need to
that's old stuff.
Are you still alive out there, Josh?
I think this
I'm
man is.
loving this. I completely forgot I was on the Zoom. I've got a bacon sandwich, and this is I'm learning so much. So
I mean,
I'm not going to. You guys,
I think the bacon oil.
Yeah, you need,
It's oil.
you need that.
Yeah, the guy's living his best life now or this week.
But absolutely, I feel like I've got a VIP seat in this so, I'm going to let you guys keep going.
Actually, I want to start with ETH-BTC because I'm so proud of this pattern that I've been playing, or not playing, that I've been seeing. I've seen some really bearish patterns on ETH, so I'm going to actually show you what is one of the patterns that I saw. This was like good traders which said this patterns. People I always
he's just about to start pulling up, because I noticed some stuff on Ethereum today. I don't think he's going to go that low, actually.
No, I saw someone showing a harmonic pattern like this, saying it's a bad pattern. We're gonna go down. We're gonna go down all the way to 0.03. I didn't agree with it at all. So I went and countered their pattern and said, but hold on, what about if you're only making this pattern over here? So we were around in this region over here when I said, when I gave them my counter scenario where I'm like, okay, cool. You know, we made a Gartley in yellow. That's a Gartley pattern, which is a bearish pattern. So this is a bearish Gartley, but that doesn't mean we're going to break the lows. So what I said was, we're going to make a bearish Gartley into a cipher pattern. So initially I had my D point at the 786 because that's the stats for a cipher. But then we overshot it yesterday and just made another shark pattern. So I said, okay, cool. We've got a Gartley into a bullish shark. So bearish Gartley in yellow into a bullish shark in pink. So my projection afterwards, which I'm leaving on here because I want it to be right, is I want to see this now play out where we've got two possible scenarios where we've got a butterfly which takes ETH to 0.089-ish for a 1.272, or a possible D point for a deep crab pattern at a 0.099 basically for ETH versus BTC. I would love this scenario because this means if we can get this play to play out, there's going to be a massive alt season coming.
Well, I think we're just about to go into that, because we are holding the supports on a lot of these. Like a few of the alts have broken down, but some of the like major alts that we're going to look at in a minute have, you know, just continued and, you know, held those supports. So, you know, that's a really good sign that we're going to continue up. So if so we can see that in ETH, where, you know, against BTC, we're going to start sort of, you know, building again. And definitely. So
we're gonna be outperforming it. I mean, it looks to me like that, because I couldn't see that breakdown of that pattern at all. I was countering them with the Gartley into the bullish cipher, which ended up as a shark. But now I want to see it actually break out to the upside, because on ETH USDT we had a deep crab pattern, which it's such a nice pattern. I didn't long into this because I was focusing too much on Bitcoin, but we hit a perfect 1.618, tagged it, bounced it, bottom of the range as well, a little wick, and it's looking good. Like I'm liking it. I think
it's not looking as strong as BTC at the moment. So if we jump into my chart here.
Yeah, let's see what you've got there.
So this is my BTC chart. So we've actually nailed this support. So I've got this thing that I do, which is called a lazy Lisa fib line. So I can get a fib by just drawing a diagonal. So I do it a lot on a lot of the charts. So, and they normally match up. So we can see that, you know, we've got two touches here. We've come up, we've touched again, corrected down from this point, and then broken through, and we've retested this twice. So
I love that though. I love your trend line, because that perfectly matches the support region on my chart as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's such a strong support, and we can see that, you know, in the MACD we're starting to, this is the daily, so we're starting to sort of, you know, curve around, but we've had this strong bounce on this region. And again, this is, you know, this is a 1786, which Ethereum loves that fib. So it's normally, you know, Bitcoin goes to the 618, Ethereum goes to 786. So this is 1 to 1786, and it's just had this perfect correction. So, you know, I really see this sort of starting to build. Obviously, we're really low on the RSI as well, and we're starting to sweep around. So I think Ethereum over the next probably week or, maybe 2 is going to really start sort of building, especially with, what's happening with Ethereum coming up in the not too distant future. So, and that's got to play some sort of part in what's happening with Ethereum, because right now it's sort of just this sideways forever pattern.
It is.
Yeah. So, we've got a nice sort of shallow inverse head and shoulders here. We're hitting MAs on this chart. So this is 1 hour. This is, it's looking strong. We're crossing on the EMAs, and so I while they're sort of, we've had these strong bounces and we're not pulling back a lot. So which to me, we've got some bearish divergence coming on this 15-minute, but, obviously it's a 15-minute. I'm kind of expecting that to break down into this zone here around the MAs. But other than that, it's looking really, really good to go up. So, we've pierced through this line here, but, Ethereum, every time Ethereum looks ugly, you need to buy it.
Basically. And another interesting fact as well is the BTC Fear and Greed Index, which I also was looking at yesterday with this drop. So we currently hit a low of 10 yesterday. The last time we hit lower than that was COVID levels, where we hit an 8. So that's also something I always keep in mind, because when everyone's too euphoric, that's when you should be automatically switching to, I need to start taking profits. But when everyone's like, we're going death, we're going to zero, sell, get out, that's when you should start be thinking like, okay, cool, maybe it's time to start buying.
Maybe it's time to start sort of laddering into these dips and start buying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that Fear and Greed Index is so incredibly low, and it's like the salt on Twitter is so high. It's so crazy.
I mean, I had to mute some of the groups and stuff, which because of the fact that, man, in my trading style, I'm a lot different. I'm always on the opposite side of most people.
Yes.
And people don't want to see that. So I know as well on Twitter, when everyone's so bearish and you become bullish, everyone like crucifies you. Like, how can you say that? There's no way. And
I'm getting all
that's what I'll be getting.
The way at the moment. So, and it's like I send them a bull just sort of bucking them into next week. So
yeah, exactly. So in my group, since the whole drop, which we had on the, what was this?
It was the
19th of May.
It's memorable for me because it was my birthday. So it's like,
oh, happy birthday. Great gift. I'm on the 25th, so I had like a welcoming into the birthday, but you had it on the birthday, so we both kind of had it. But so I haven't been bearish.
Josh's birthday is on the 9th coming up, so by then we need to be going into a bull market. So we had mine in the bull, and then he's into the bull.
Josh and the bull. There we go, Josh. Let's hope you can have another morning like this morning on your birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. 50,000 by my birthday, I reckon, on the 9th of July. I mean, you guys are the experts, but
if we get 50,000, Josh, are you revealing your face?
I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah, come on. It's only 2 weeks away, isn't it? Or 2 or 3 weeks.
It is.
Everyone's just got to hold on. And if they want to see my face, they better start buying Bitcoin.
It's a good one. Trust me, guys. You want to see Josh's face. He's such a, how can I put it? He's such a pretty man. You really want to see his face. Ask Lisa. You really want to see his face. 50K in 2 weeks' time.
You can come back next week. Yeah.
Thanks,
in fact, do you want your own show? Let's do our own show.
I like that. So I'm down. We should.
I'm just like, I'm not on this show anymore. Thanks, guys. Bye.
I mean, let's be real. People's not just for Lisa. They're actually just here for Josh. Let's be real.
Oh, brilliant! No, I feel very loved. And actually, how long have you been trading with Harmonics Crooks? What's your kind of background, just for anyone else out there?
All right, so I've been trading since the start of 2017. Harmonic trading. So I was really back then quite a noob, and I was fortunate enough that in the job which I had at the time, I had a lot of free time. So I started getting this interest in trading. So I've put a lot of time into it. But Lisa knows I actually started with Elliott Waves. So I started learning Elliott Waves, going over the Robert Prosper book, and I just found it wasn't for me. So that's when I started
So
deep
Krug
diving
was
into
in
other
my
techniques.
Discords for such a long time. So Krug is
Yeah,
sort
I
of
mean,
following
it
me
was like
around.
way back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day. And then he was one of the moderators in our Discord for a long, long time.
Yeah,
Nice.
and then I stumbled upon harmonics because I liked fibs. So, and I'm very good with fibs. So as soon as I actually started to realize, I think this was in 2018, that I'm actually very good with fibs. That's when I started deep diving into harmonics. But harmonics is like any other framework where you can't just use it alone. You need to add stuff to it, like momentum and RSI.
Yeah.
It's not a standalone framework, but to me, it's a very good framework because in Elliott wave, which I didn't like, is the fact that if this happens, then it can change to that rule. And then if you didn't see that rule or you're seeing it too late, then you're wrong, and then you get stopped out. I didn't I didn't like that. With harmonics, when I've got 4 points or 3 points, I know what the next move possibly is. When I combine it then with any divergences or support and resistance level where we're at, I find that I can work better with that.
Yeah.
So that's my little history on harmonics and how I stumbled upon it and found that it works for me and I'm really good at it. So that's what that's why I went for
I
it.
remember you saying, because I've got as everyone knows, I've got a way of doing my own fibs, and they kind of match what I do with Elliott Wave a little bit. And I've got a few rules that I sort of adjust with Elliott Wave, so it's not to fit crypto. So Krug's, I was sort of teaching him how to do my fibs, and he's come to me and he's like, I've got this new fib thing that I'm doing with harmonics, and it's brilliant. And it's really, really good.
Yeah, I remember
Yes,
your
it's
fibs.
pretty awesome.
It blew my mind. I was just like, I don't know how. Your fibs works. Like it really works
They
well.
do.
I
It
would.
really works
They do.
amazingly. So yeah.
I mean, I think the thing I love the most what Lisa did with her fibs is how she incorporated with Elliott waves. So Lisa actually you will not find this information anywhere else. Lisa's got fib rules which she matches with Elliott waves, and how it hits her waves is just like it blows your mind. Just like how the hell I've seen it over and over again, and that's literally something she actually just got to figure out herself, which is really impressive.
Yeah,
So well done with that.
it was just this repetitive pattern I kept seeing, and it was just like life is all about patterns, obviously. And so when you've been trading, like I've been trading for such a long time, I'm not going to say how long, it's forever, but so that gives me my age away. But and you kind of start to see patterns like what you're saying, Krugs, with you're seeing all of those sort of crab patterns and, ciphers and all of that as we go along. And that's what you see with Elliott Wave and with the fib. So I was noticing with some of the patterns that we were hitting certain fib levels on certain, wave patterns. So it just, when I started applying that, overall it just gave me such accuracy, and it was such an amazing thing. So yeah, and
That's
everyone
awesome.
always wants to know it, and I'm not sure if I want to teach everyone yet.
I think one day, Lisa, you should just write a book. Just write a book with all your rules. I actually think it's going to help a lot of people, especially the new traders.
Yeah.
I mean, because a lot of when I was still new back in the day, a lot of the stuff that you taught me I took it and basically built upon it with extra knowledge, which I kept on studying. So that's like sort of it formed part of my building blocks of trading in essence. So if you ever had to write a book, I think like new people would find it awesome. Really.
Yeah, I think it does apply to, obviously I've applied it to, the gold chart, and I apply it to the S&P and stuff like that. So it does work on those charts as well. As we saw with gold sort of really dump back. But so it's maybe one day I'll write it.
You're writing a script. I mean, what is a trading book on top of that?
So I'm now turning that into a book as well. So because I decided that it needed so much more information to explain some of the stuff that's actually in the script. So you know how books are always more in depth than the script. So yeah.
Yes.
I'm still convinced that Lisa has multiple Lisas out there that are doing trading, book writing, script writing. There's definitely more than one Lisa out there. But also I noticed in the chat, people wanting to know more about harmonics. Krug. So maybe we can explore that, and perhaps in
Yeah,
the
so
group.
we're going to get Krugs into the group more often, aren't we, Krugs?
Mm.
And we've been talking to you. Yeah, it's like dragging him away from his normal job and bringing him into the Getting Started in Crypto group and just getting him to teach some of this, because this harmonics is a really, really cool and quite simple way of trading.
That's the thing. I mean, it's like any other framework where the more you do it, the better it becomes. But I'm always down to teaching people. I don't think there's a lot of harmonic traders out there in any way, and it's because people try it, and I don't think they understand it completely correct, and then they don't use it the right way. Then they're like, okay, it doesn't work, I'm just giving up.
Yeah, that's
And
like Elliott Wave, same thing.
Exactly. That's me with Elliott Waves. It doesn't work, I'm over it, I'm giving up. So that's why I went to harmonics. So I went south. But I still
what
think
works for you, and that's what I always say to people.
Exactly.
Try everything, and Wyckoff might suit you, and in the group we've got a whole heap of books that from Wyckoff to harmonics to Elliott Wave that they can sort of read through and go, okay, this way suits me the best, and I understand this.
Exactly. Everyone thinks differently. So whenever anyone asks me, what type of trader should they be or what should they be studying, then I always tell them, go study everything, because after a while you'll figure out what suits your mindset and your way of thinking. So that's always the advice that I'm giving new people. Just basically just study as much as what you can.
We've got Dark on there. Saying that Krugs is the king. So yeah.
Dark. Yeah, I mean, Dark. I can see the chat actually. Yeah. Dark also was at one stage in Lisa's group.
Yeah,
And,
he was. You guys all sort of popped into the group and it was like you were somebody else, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, I remember Lisa asking us if this is us, or so I'm like, no, it's not. It's not who you think it is.
I'm like, yeah, so it became a joke, and now you're known as Jason.
Jason.
No, Josh is Jason and you're Brad.
I was about to say Linda, Jason, and Brad. That's it.
It's got a ring to it, definitely.
It definitely has. Should we grab some alt charts?
Yeah, let's have a look. I don't know, Group, if you've got your comparison charts as well, so you can jump in, but we'll see what I'm not sure what Lucy's alts are going to be. So
should we check Josh's 1 inch first?
That's it.
I checked already this morning.
So he couldn't say a thing because it was he was out last night.
Yeah. Man is hungover. Man had a successful night.
Is so hungover, and it's like.
Yeah, I'm 10. I feel like I'm lagging on this YouTube already.
So this is 1 inch, and it's just not coming down to my buy zone whatsoever. It's super frustrating. It's like it touched the top of it, and it just keeps bouncing. For some reason, 1 inch is super bullish at the moment, and I don't understand why. So it's been, such a lagging sort of chart, and we dropped down to this support, and we had bounced quite strongly up. We're coming up to this MA at the moment, so we should see sort of a small rejection in this region. So maybe, just maybe we might get down to this buy zone. At the moment, I've been chasing this one up, so it's a little bit sort of frustrating. But yeah, so we can see that it's got strong sort of movement on the RSI as well. So this one is one that I think is going to. BTC's doing something. Hang on.
Holy shit! Is that your alarms for?
That's my alarm. They go off all day long.
The amount of times I hear that day is god awful.
Yeah, so poor Josh on the phone.
I'm like shocked. I'm actually shocked. That would annoy me so much. Yeah. That's so loud.
Yeah, it is so loud because I can be anywhere in my house and I can hear it. So. Yeah, so that we've got this line here on BTC and we've just crossed it. We're pulling back though. So we're just not coming back down and correcting on any of these charts right now. So, which is a little bit frustrating.
We are, however, very close to my 50% fib and mid-range point. So that is the area which I'll be watching for on Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, so my next target here. So what's your target? My next target is 36,280 on BTC. So what's your fib?
So I've got a range where the range low point is 35,067 up until 36,545 within that region.
Yeah, so mine's like right in the middle of your region. So, yeah.
I expect a pullback to come from there.
Yeah, so that kind of confirms an inverse head and shoulders as well, like with a shallow left shoulder on BTC. So, you know, that will look kind of something like this, where we've got this shallow left shoulder deeper, right? So hopefully we come up to this, tap this range, and then we can pull back at this point and, you know, sort of hold these MAs around this region and, you know, then continue up. So that's, for me, it's sort of like a 36,200, 36,500 coming back, pulling back down to a sort of a 33.5 region. So, you know, quite a sort of, you know, nice sort of dip on that.
It's, I think that would pretty annoy a lot of people that trade head and shoulders patterns because of the head that's actually so deep in correlation to the shoulders.
It is, but you know, in correlation, but we've got, look at the volume profile. So if we've got, you know, volume profile happening here. So, you know, this is looking really good. So we should get an inverse like profile with the, you know, volume sort of coming in, and we're getting this volume here. We should start to get a little bit more volume in this region as we push up, and then, you know, a drop in the volume on this side again. So
that's actually,
it's following quite nicely at the moment.
That's actually a really cool way of looking at it. I've actually never thought about looking at head and shoulders in terms of volume as well. That's actually very cool.
Yeah, so I always look to see if the volume's matching, and we're sort of starting to get that volume entering here. And, you know, for me, this is looking like it's developing into a nice inverse head and shoulders.
Another bullish factor to add to the list.
Yeah. So, you know, that's another thing to look at. There's so many factors. And I know, you know, when you've got a bias, and I've looked at the bear sort of charts and I've gone, okay, well, if we break certain levels, then I'm going to be looking at, you know, a bearish scenario. But we're just not breaking those levels. We're holding them and bouncing. So for me, you know, it's still quite bullish. So this is XRP. Obviously, you know, we've been sort of, you know, slowly grinding down. We've come back down and we've hit and pierced through this long-term support. You know, it did get quite ugly on XRP. So what's that, down to 50 cents? We've had quite a strong bounce up to 63, so 60 or 66. So that's not a bad sort of correction. You know, we look to be pulling back at the moment, probably retest this support before a continuation. So we are going to get pullbacks across the board at the moment, I think. So, you know, if you want to pull your XRP chart up as well, Krugs.
I've got an awesome XRP chart.
Yeah, so for me, this is, you know, almost pattern complete. So we've got, you know, this A, a B, a C, and, you know, this completion of this C. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the C wave complete for me. We could do a D and an E, but, you know, and we could, you know, depending on what the market is at this point, either, you know, breakthrough. So for me, this is the C. So I always say buy the C. We don't always get the D and the E. So this is a buy region for me on XRP. So give this over.
Again, I've got some nice confluent factors that's going to share your buy zone with XRP. I actually sent this chart to one of my friends this morning who actually bought XRP somewhere in this region over here, somewhere around this region is where he bought. And so XRP, I did share this on my Twitter as well. We made a really, really nice Gartley pattern at this deep point at the 786 fib over there. And so a Gartley pattern, this is a bullish Gartley pattern, which is a continuation pattern to the upside. So we did get the break. I was actually along around 71 cents. I took profit around about $1 or 99 cents, somewhere around this regions where I actually played this trade. And sometimes what happens is with a Gartley, so what the characteristics of a Gartley is your B point is at the 618 Fibonacci. So with your B point at a 618 Fibonacci, your D point is then at a 786 Fibonacci. But sometimes what happens is that the D point can extend, and you come and hit the 886 for a deep Gartley is what they call it. So we've hit that, we've tagged it and bounced. And when I went down onto a lower time frame, I think it was yesterday. I was looking at this pattern over here somewhere. Where was it now? It was over here. I was looking at, there was another sub pattern within this pattern to also point out to this area over here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a shark pattern actually. So we had another confluent factor which basically said that this was the low. So you had your 113 and then your 113 at the bottom again. So I was looking at that. So bigger picture is this Gartley pattern what I'm looking at, or a deep Gartley pattern. So your targets for this, usually you got 4 targets. So your first target is back to the B point around 89 cents. So you can actually take this fib now the other way around to see if there's any matches at the D point, which there should be. So it's basically the 382. So you've got your B point as your first target, your C point, as you see I've marked it in white, and then your A point. Now, if this market is going to continue being bullish, which so far so good, I mean, we've got a lot of factors to that, your Gartley becomes really, really bullish if you can break the high. You're looking at a 1.618 up, at 286. And I know that's very...
So I've got like my first targets around sort of the 77, 78 mark. And then like I've got an upper target of a 130, 124.
Yeah, so look, short time frame, I'll be expecting we'll find resistance around about this area at the 236 fib. You can see how it was acting as support and resistance all the way down.
Yeah.
But before we get to these upper targets as well, which I said now usually, there'll be some pattern forming again the other way. Like this B point will, if it's going to continue being bullish as well, I'll be looking for a B point within this golden ratio zone from the 382 to the 618. Somewhere over here, we'll find something like this. And that will be another pattern that we'll be playing.
Yeah.
That's if we get the bounce up from here. So, but for a start, I mean, I agree with you there. I'll be looking at these regions over here to basically get this resistance back as support, break it. Let's get a writing thing over here. Maybe if we can get maybe try and not break it the first time, break it the second time, find it as support, and then something like that is what I'll be looking at, and then I'll be able to draw another harmonic pattern coming from, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's more or less what I'd be looking at.
Match my Elliott wave with my, my potential, D&E wave, and then, heading up.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, RSI, there's no really bullish divergence on which is quite annoying. But if we look, basically, you've got a hidden bullish divergence. Where's this point now? From this low over here. So you've got a high point over here, which is a low on price, and then you've got a low point on RSI, which is a high on price. So you've got a little bit of a hidden bullish divergence across the board, like this as well. Where you've got the low on price and the higher low on price, but the lower low on RSI. So there's a bit of a hidden bullish divergence if you draw it across like that.
Yeah, and when, obviously when XRP moves, it really moves. So
exactly.
Exactly. I think this is the time to be sort of laddering into this one because it is so incredibly low.
I mean, I'm loving the pattern, and we've got our MACD also building a higher positive, negative momentum island, but a higher one, and you can see the white area starting to form. So it is starting to tick up. So you can see in price, we've got a lower point there, a lower point there, but we've got a higher low on MACD already. So, I mean, the signs are there. We just needed to push through, and that's if Bitcoin can continue being bullish. Obviously, if Bitcoin breaks down, then this pattern will become invalid.
Yeah.
And I'll be looking at other patterns, but in my mind, especially with Bitcoin and all these patterns, basically, if we not breaking the lows, it's hard for me to be bearish. And that's what I've been saying the last 3 to 4 weeks to people who's been asking me, what's going on. So I said, well, we're keeping the lows. We're not breaking the lows. As long as we stay above the lows, I can't be bearish. I'm not going to be bearish on a chart where the RSI is like this, under 30 in oversold regions. It's impossible. I can't do
that's
that.
what I keep saying. It's like it's impossible to be bearish when all the indicators are pointing to this reversing at the moment. It's like I know and understand that Bitcoin can hold these RSI lows for quite some time, as it does with the highs. But that's just a continued sideways sort of movement. It's not like it's breaking down incredibly to 20,000 or 12,000. I saw 4,000 today, and I'm just like, we haven't even broken down officially. So it's just crazy.
I mean, I think I was looking at the bearish side of Bitcoin in case we do break down. I think the extreme case that I found in terms of harmonics was at 10,000. I've actually got a pattern which points to 10,000.
I've got a pattern that points to 12. So,
Yeah, well, there we go again.
So there's always those patterns that you can get. Like you can always draw the opposite pattern to what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to break down from those lows.
Exactly. I see someone's asking for the XRP BTC chart over here. This chart to me is, it's always ugly. It's so ugly. It's so hard to chart.
Yeah.
Do you also find it hard to chart? I find this chart so hard.
Just don't chart it because it's such an ugly chart.
It's ridiculous. Like, to me, this chart is impossible to find patterns on. So what I do with this is I actually don't use fibs on the BTC pair for Ripple. I actually just use old school support and resistances to see where we at, where's the resistance is
we're at on that one. We've got a clear 5 waves there. So we've got an extended wave 1, wave 3, and then we've got 5 waves, and we're coming down on that correction. So
you're counting it basically from
that bottom
6th of Jan.
Yeah,
okay.
so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
So if I'm correct, which I'm no Elliott wave expert, but Lisa is counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that correct?
Yeah. And
you're looking for a 5.
Yeah, and because
this is valid.
Yeah, that's valid because that's a wick. So that one
is it a wick? Okay.
Yeah. So with a leveraged market in crypto, you can have a wick. So and that's one of the rules. So
so that's a valid pattern then.
Coin, the wick invalidates it, but because of the market movements, we can include the wicks.
Okay, so let's take then Lisa's chart like this, so we can actually add to this now, which is quite cool. We can say we're looking at left, we've got this little cluster of support resistors over here, which we actually tagged and perfectly bouncing from, which is nice. So that's the first thing we can look at. Then we can look at from wave 2 to 4, we can say, okay, cool, but we've got a low on RSI and a lower low on RSI, but a higher high in price. So we've got a little hidden bullish divergence going on over there. And now we can also go into MACD and say, okay, cool, but we've also got positive momentum islands building. Although we had a slightly lower low there, but we haven't gone green. So we can say from this point to that point on price and compare it to MACD on that island low to that island low, we've got bullish divergence over there.
And if you have a look at that 4, we've got a clear ABC there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably measure this and let's see if it comes to a 1-to-1 to a 618, slightly below a 618. So maybe see on there as well. So I mean, this chart, like Lisa says, it's such a stupid chart to chart because it's so ugly. But if you just take some basic TA, you can see that there's actually quite a lot of stuff to look at it in terms of this chart. And there's also another point that I can actually bring up to say, you don't have to always be charting complex strategies like Elliott wave or Monix or like really complex stuff. Like the simple stuff, trading support and resistance can also just work really well.
Well, it does, and it's like I always say that to Josh. So trading's not hard, people make it hard. So strip your chart back and just put some support and resistance on there, and it's you'll get some ideas of where these waves are going, and that's the easiest way. So if we put a diagonal sort of straight across from that one, you're going to get, sort of where you're going to get the next resistance up on that sort of that 5th wave coming up.
Oh, you're talking about like that.
Yeah.
But you can even, but then actually, you know what you can also do? You can actually just draw a channel in here as well, because I know the Elliott wave theory. I just suck at actually practicing it. But I mean, Elliott wave also says that it's in a channel or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
With
yeah.
5 ways up.
Yeah.
So in essence, what Lisa's saying is that basically if you can count it then as a 1, 2, 3, 4, you can expect wave 5 to hit the top of the channel, something like that.
Yeah. And that should correlate with the fib level as well. So if you throw some fibs on that, that's going to, you know.
Yeah, look at that. Well, look at that perfect 1.618 with cross resistance at a parallel channel.
Exactly. So, you know, there's so many factors that point to a lot of these charts continuing to be bullish.
It really is. And you know, it's a nice thing as well. If you look at the range midpoint, the reactions we've had here at support and resistance. So I think if you had to trade this chart, you'd basically first be looking at back into the range midpoint, some trickery happening around you before you can possibly go to the high point of the parallel channel.
Yeah. And that's possibly when, you know, BTC sort of takes off and this chart pulls back. So because obviously it's a BTC pair and you've got that relative strength.
Exactly. So I'm actually going to leave this chart right as it is, and I'm going to actually come and review this in a few weeks' time, and let's see how it's actually played out. I won't touch this chart at all. I'm actually just going to leave it.
I'm going to get you
right
to put this one in the group as well. So yeah,
I will do that.
Keep an eye on it.
I mean, Lisa knows I like XRP. Okay, I know everyone hates it, but I like the idea behind it and what they try to do. I think it's a good project. I know everyone's like Ripple is. It is what it is, but I like it. I am a fan of Ripple.
He does. He's been trading it for such a long time. So, all right. So what else have we got here, Krugs?
1 inch is one that I actually wanted to bring up, seeing that you were speaking about it. While you were speaking about it, I haven't looked at this chart at all.
Yeah.
So this is actually really interesting. We've got a perfect
We just actually rejected
cipher
on the MA on the 1 hour. So, you know, coming back. But yeah, so pull your chart up.
Yeah, so bigger picture, we've actually got a really nice cipher pattern. I kind of wrote this 1 inch off, and I refuse to trade it because I feel like I'm really angry in life with this chart, because I was looking at it over here at like $1. I think I bought 1 inch at $1.10, and I sold it at I think $1.08. I actually took a small loss on it, and it annoyed me. It really annoyed me. And then I missed this entire move up to $5-6, and this up to like $7-8. I missed that entire move. I missed it.
Like spruiking this so much on because it was going to 8 inches, and it was like.
I trust me, I saw all the tweets, I saw all the memes around the 1 inch, the 5 inch, the 21 inches. I saw all of it. I just was so angry at myself for not holding on to that $1 entry that I just left it. But if you, like you can see now with this chart, we've made such a nice cipher pattern around this 786. So we've bounced it. So basically, a simple fib rule states that when you bounce at a 786, when you get above the 618, your trade becomes from the 618 to the 382 as your first target, and your second target becomes actually the 236 fib up. Yeah, that's a bit of a Monic rules right there. But as you can see, we went 1 fib below and we rejected, but we're still holding on to the lows. We haven't made a new low like we did on Bitcoin and stuff, which is quite interesting. A lot of these alts I've seen now didn't break the lows from the end of May lows, which they made.
Really interesting that a lot of these alts are not breaking the lows, and it
really is.
And that to me means that, you know, we are going to take off on a lot of these alt patterns.
I couldn't agree with you more, but I think the first thing for me, if you are a safe trader, especially you'd like to see this maybe get above the 2021 EMA on the daily, and maybe hold this fib level right here as support. So you're back test it as support, where I'd rather take that as your entry.
What's your price on that? So I would like to get above sort of $2.80 here, and then my next target's like $3.13. So I'd like to see a sort of, you know, probably a pullback in this region that we're in now, and then you know, continuation. So hang on, I'll pull my chart up.
Yeah, put your chart up because your $3.13 is sort of like my safe buying option against support.
Yeah.
Because your resistance matches my resistance right there because I see it also as resistance.
So ideally, we've just hit the 100 MA on the 1 hour chart here. So ideally, I'd like to see this come down, possibly won't go into my buy zone. You know, hit this MA again and break it, sort of, and then come up to the 200.
Oh, that's nice.
So
yeah, that would be a nice entry, actually, right there on that right shoulder.
yeah,
And also back testing that previous resistance as support now. That actually would be a nice entry.
So that kind of looks like, you know, what we're going to see sort of coming up.
I'm just going to jump in there with a little bit of fundamental analysis as well on 1 inch. I'm just reading an
21
article
inch.
from
Josh is funny as it's known in the group.
It's it's well known that if you hold on to 1 inch, it will eventually turn into 3, 4, maybe 5 on a good day.
A good day.
Anyway,
not a cold day. Not a cold day. It's lucky it's summer in the UK.
Right.
About to say summer days.
Yeah.
Keep a firm grasp on it. This article from 3 days ago is saying that Grayscale Investments, who already have, I think, just under 33 or 34 billion dollars in crypto assets, absolutely huge. They're considering their next bunch of investment products. 1 inch is on their list, so people are taking note of it.
It's just making me so sour to hear this.
Yeah, well, now is the time to be buying in and laddering into this trade. I really do think, especially that we're pulling back in this region. And
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So I think, you know, we're going to sort of consolidate and then continue on. So strong buy on that one for me.
Jason is just basically making me more sour about 1 inch because of the fact that, again, I had this coin at $1, $1.10. I had it and I never held it. I don't know why. Like, I actually can't even tell you why I never held 1 inch. I really don't know why.
Oh, it takes experience. You have to have it to know what to do with it. And
size, it's, you know, it's how you use it.
Yeah. So I guess that moves us onto our next tool, which must be hard.
True. I mean,
all right. So let's pull up a hard chart.
Also, I see people asking for DOT. I know I'm a big DOT fan. I know, Lisa, you're also a big DOT fan. I know we actually.
All right, hard's a bit ugly actually. So hang on, let me pull up that chart. And it's just a bit soft right now. So it's so we've got this diagonal resistance that we're sort of just tapping on at the moment. But a good thing is that we've come down, we've tested this support a couple of times, and that's holding. But I do think maybe with hard we've got a pullback still on this chart. I don't think it's ready to take off just yet. So yeah, it had a nice run, and it's still in that last little leg of the correction here before it takes off. So the RSI is coming up, and it's it's sort of we do have this strong resistance in this region. So we're sort of tapping on this the whole way along. So unless we can sort of break out of this RSI, we are going to keep going sort of sideways on this for a little bit longer. So this RSI here that's tapping here, we're tapping on this resistance, this diagonal resistance. So we're going to come, down a little bit and perhaps go a little bit sideways. Best way to always break a resistance is to go sideways. So, if this RSI can continue sideways, we can continue sort of tapping on this upper sort of levels on this resistance here. We're going to break through. But I don't think it's going to be a quick thing. Hard's got a little bit of work to do. So a bit more Viagra needed on this one.
No comment.
The thing for me is I haven't focused on the smaller caps right now because me personally, I'm thinking that if BTC is not gonna sort of allow the alts to move,
they're
not gonna move. If BTC goes down, they're gonna go down. And we know, like in crypto, that it starts with BTC, then we go to the blue chip majors, and then we go to the mid caps, low caps. And so it basically it's the same money which just trickles down the ladder.
Yeah.
And then each coin gets its turn to move. But Lisa, what have you got on DOT? I see people asking for DOT over there. And I know you're a DOT fan, I'm a DOT fan.
Yeah, let me pull up some DOT.
I mean, okay, now you had a killer entry on DOT. You had a better entry than me when we were speaking. What was in January on DOT?
I had like a major awesome entry when I was first started trading this, and you know, I got it before that they redenominated, so that was kind of nice because everyone was, you know, going on, there's this new one and it's, you know, Gavin Wood's behind it, and you really need to look at it. So you know, that's kind of why I did sort of, you know, take a position on it. You know, so let's go. Huobi's probably, let's see which, I've got charts on every exchange because it moves just ever so slightly different on each exchange, which is a bit unusual for like patterns. But DOT tends to sort of move a little bit differently. So we can see on, this is Binance, and we've come back down to this diagonal support. So we've got, so the way, if we, you know, we can get targets by doing the fibs with these. So obviously we can see that on this level here, we come back and we back test on these, and we get these breakouts. And, you know, obviously that's how a lot of the time we can sort of go, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got 5, and we've got an ending diagonal on DOT, and then we've come back down on this correction. So we're in an ABC. We look to have finished this ABC. So if we put some fibs on this, so we've got a 0.5, so we've got a truncated C on this. So at the moment, so it can still obviously break down if BTC continues to break down. Obviously DOT's going to probably go to the 618 here, which is super cheap on DOT. I kind of think this is going to hold. So this is the same level that we're seeing on BTC, where we've got these touches. So we've got 2 touches here. We've got, you know, this breakout, this retest of this support, and, you know, we've come back down. So we've got a cross support on this region that we had a strong bounce, which then formed our shallow B wave, coming down for our C wave. So we should, this wave here looks that it needs one more wave, and then we're going to be complete. So if I throw some waves, where's my waves? So we should have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5, and come back down. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on DOT at the moment. I don't think this correction's done on this. And yeah, so we're going to come up, test those MAs, and then probably drop back down a little bit. So, and just retest that one last time on that support. So I've got a bounce here from where we are up until about 21, and then a retrace. And then obviously we know where we're at that point.
And the possibility of a truncated 5th on that?
Yeah, it's very possible, because if the market turns overly bullish, that's going to absolutely just like be so shallow and truncated, and we're just going to take off. So we may not get that deep drop.
I mean, I can share what I've got on DOT. I've got a very similar pattern to what we saw on 1 inch over here, where we've got the cipher in yellow. We've basically a 786 fib on the 23rd of May, went up, back tested it, what you call an harmonics, a type 2 reversal. So that's basically, think of it as a double bottom, where you've got your initial low point, you break out, you just come and retest that at a low point. That's what you call a type 2 reversal. No, I need to try and sort of delete it again. Okay, so that's a type 2 reversal in terms of this. So for me personally, I would not want to really see it below 786 fib. If we do, it becomes a shark at the 886 at 977. So yes, I ideally don't want to see us lose it.
I don't want to see that break down. I want to see it try that support. So yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of factors again we can look at over here and say which are bullish. We've actually got a nice bullish divergence. No, sorry. Yes, we do have a bullish divergence on the from the 23rd of May to this current low we made yesterday on RSI. We've also got MACD that's creating a very nice higher low on Momentum Island with price. So for me personally, I would actually want to see DOT actually hold this region and break out. And yet again, I'll be targeting the B point for the cipher, the C point, and the A point.
Yeah.
But again, as per usual, before that, I would be looking for some form of, I don't know, 50% retrace. So maybe back to this D point.
Yeah, see, I've got a strong resistance at that 21 at that 618 that you've got.
21.8. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're seeing that basically go from, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me because in terms of harmonics, you can actually make a rule that there's that rule where a 786 reversal above the 618, your first target becomes the 382, your second target.
If we can break that target, that 21 sort of range, then we're going to go up, obviously. But that 21 range is going to be a hard range to break on DOT at the moment.
I mean, you can even see it. Look at the congestion zone right in there.
Yeah.
I mean, of support and resistance in there. So yeah, I can see what you're saying with that. Yeah. But that's what I've got on DOT. I'm still bullish on it. I've actually still got a bigger target in play. You can see I've marked it there of 62, 64. So range.
Have a look. I've actually got a really big target on DOT. So
yeah, my biggest one is 100. I've got 100 on that, but I want to see yours.
76, 89, and then a 99. So
99. Okay.
Yeah. So
so you're 99.
We should get there.
Yeah. So your 99 matches this my top box over there, and my conservative box with this 60, 63 to 66 region.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can actually, let me actually just show how I actually got to that. I should have all the fib patterns. I had deleted some of them. I deleted a lot of them, did I not? Yes. Oh no, I actually deleted some of them.
Somebody just said parachain me like one of your French girls. Crazy.
Okay.
That person's interested. They're doing a Polkadot are doing a build a parachain track competition. You can get 10K in prize at the moment.
Oh really?
Serious?
Yeah, all the info.
Well, that might help with this bounce coming up and passing that 21 resistance.
It could be. I mean, because Kusama's doing the parachain auctions right now, and Polkadot shouldn't be far behind.
Kusama's just such an ugly chart right now. It has like pulled back so massively. It's like from 600 down to 200. It's just such a crazy chart.
I haven't looked at Kusama in ages, but let me see what you've got.
Look how depressing that is.
That is bad actually. We had that pattern, a shark pattern up here, which I see that break down. I mean, I haven't looked at this in ages. And we've got a 1272 right there, but yeah, this is. So
we've got a clear AB.
I see what you mean, the ABC.
So, yeah.
Let's see where we're at with this. I haven't looked at Kusama
that
in
pullback.
ages.
So the dip we saw on that 19th of May dip, was a perfect fib level pullback. So we've just retested that low, and so this hopefully it starts to look better because they've got Canario have eggs, and you have to buy those with Kusama. So yeah,
I saw that. That's on KuCoin, is it?
Yeah. That's actually quite cool. That's I've posted it in the group and I've posted it on Twitter as well. So if anyone wants to read about it, it's actually a super cool thing, how they hatch and everything. And, there's a couple of rare ones. So.
Okay. Well, that's something to look into then. I mean, I saw the tweets where you were saying it's on KuCoin, and I saw it in the group as well.
Yeah.
And, it looked pretty cool. It made me think of a lot of like the Pokemon idea, and
it is a lot of like
Pokemon.
Yeah. So you you've got to get people to sort of send you emojis and to sort of try and hatch these eggs. So yeah, it's not as easy.
It's actually cool.
Yeah.
That actually sounds really cool.
So
I'll look into that.
I've got some eggs sitting there, but I haven't had the time to sort of try and get people to help me hatch them yet. So.
Yeah, so I went off on a rabbit hole into Decentraland the other day, creating an avatar, and honestly, it's dangerous. Like,
I woke up, it's like Josh is like, "Do you know what I just did?"
I was so freaked out. Like, I'm getting too old for this technology stuff because I couldn't believe that I was just talking to randoms as an avatar, which kind of looks like me. And yeah, I could just buy land and do all sorts, which was pretty cool. I was just reading up on the winner of KSM's first parachain auction, which are Karura, KAR,
Saw that.
and they are
Saw that.
you're right. They're going to be developing a robust decentralized finance ecosystem, which is something I've heard before. But hey, they got the spot, so it'll be interesting to keep tabs on them.
The other one that I want everyone to keep tabs on, so hang on, I'll just pull that chart up as well, is APN. So they're going for a parachain spot as well. And, this is a super, super strong project. And, they've got some good development. They move really nicely when it moves. Obviously, it's had a big pullback, but it's starting to sort of get some movement. We're just trying to break out again above. It broke down from this support, and we're just trying to break out. But yeah, so this one's vying for that parachain as well. And it's obviously when they come into the market, every coin and token dumps, as we know. So we get the ABC. We've had the ABC on this chart. We've even got like probably a D and an E, and that's complete now. So if this does get the parachain position, this is going to go off. So I would be just holding it, and I know they're a strong contender. So for what they're doing at the moment, so
they are, and in the background as well, they've Bitwell listing APN for spot trading. I don't know so much about Bitwell, International Derivatives Service Platform.
There's so many exchanges out there, though.
Yeah, exactly. But aside from obviously going for that slot with Kusama, they're doing all sorts of other things as well. So it's not taking up their whole focus. They are spreading themselves out.
If we have a look, we've got, support of the EMAs coming up here. So, and we're just sort of poking out above this resistance. So, this is a strong buy for me in this region, especially if they're going to be going for these parachains. So you'll find it on Huobi, and what was the other one you were saying, Josh? Bitwell.
Yeah, that's right, Bitwell. But it looks like they're going to start trying to list more and more as they grow.
Yeah. Cool. Have you got anything else to show us, Krugs? That's about all for me. So
yeah, I think that's all from my side as well. As I said, for me, it's all about Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin goes up, it's going to create opportunity for alts. If we can look at the ETH-BTC pair, hopefully that pattern I've got can play out. That could also give alts some nice runs coming out.
Yeah.
But I think that's it from my side. I mean, it's all about Bitcoin and the majors.
Okay, so we'll let Josh go back and head back to sleep and
yeah, and hold on to 1 inch, and everything's all going well.
I hope it's a summer day there in the UK.
Yeah, I just looked outside. It's looking sunnier. There's some blue in the sky, which for an English person is a sign of a good day, regardless of the temperature, regardless of what the weather's actually doing. If you can see blue, it's a good day. So yeah.
So it's not going to be a 1 inch day.
Yeah, no, maybe a few more inches to come. Yeah, we will do.
Depends how warm it is today for him.
Depends, yeah.
I'll go and test it. I'll go outside and test it, see what it's like. Anyway, yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. We've had consistently a good amount of people streaming and watching along with us. So, and it's been awesome to have you, Krugs. I think, yeah, as Lisa's saying, we'd like to have you a lot more. And it just helps us to go back and forth, especially Lisa, with her theories and your theories. And it's amazing how similar they actually are.
It is. It's like, two different sort of ways of charting, but we usually come to the same conclusion, and it's usually very similar levels. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's why I always like having a chat to Lisa. I mean, it's a completely different trading style. But the fact that we're always getting to the same targets, same support levels, even a little trend line of Lisa can match a fib level of mine. It's unreal. It's always really, really cool to see. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks for being here.
Awesome.
And yeah, hopefully we'll get Josh a reveal very soon.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think so. Okay. Well, maybe I'll do it on the group first. So everyone needs to jump onto gettingstartedinCrypto.com, sign up there, and maybe I'll do it there first. Or opening myself up to the rest of the world.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to smash the like button before you go. So, and we'll catch you next week. We'll be back on Monday.